Leaf's under the weather. More like Leaf's over the weather. Oh my god, this episode from the Smurfs for 2021 sucks. Here are the reasons why I hate this episode in my opinion. The episode starts. It's a normal morning in the Smurf village as Farmer goes to wake up his snails to feed. However, the weather does an opposite and begins to storm, making Farmer rush back into his house while his snails hide in their shells. Elsewhere, Gargamel is in his hovel with his cat, affected by the weather, and is warming himself with a blanket. However, the weather suddenly becomes hot again while Gargamel and Azrael are confused. Back in the village, Smurfs are hot and are jumping into the well as Farmer is talking to Papa Smurf about the sudden weather changes. Papa Smurf is also suspicious about this, but just then, the weather is cold again and Brainy is flown away with the mushroom umbrella he was holding. A bird then flies to the village, but when it sneezes, it turns into a rabbit, who crashes into the village bell and falls. The rabbit then turns into a spider and tries to run away but transforms into the cause of their problems. Leaf, the fairy, falls to the ground. Papa Smurf realizes that Leaf has made the weather wonky and announces to his little Smurfs that the fairy is sick and needs to be cured. Doc shows up on the scene and examines Leaf. However, his examinations include banging her foot, which electrocutes Grouchy, and touching her leg, which flings him to the other side of her leg. Papa Smurf knows that this isn't working and needs to take more drastic measures. Papa Smurf tells Handy to make a tent to put Leaf in and assigns Vanity and Poet to go into the forest with a scroll. As they all leave, Willow and Begonia arrive, with Willow reporting to Papa Smurf about the weather trouble. Papa Smurf tells her that Leaf is sick and wants her to help him cure the fairy. The Smurfs bring Leaf into a tent as she continues sneezing. Weather changes. Willow tells Papa Smurf that she will use her natural magic to fix the situation, but Doc wants to use his less resourceful tools. Begonia begins interrupting him and plays around with his stethoscope. While this happens, Leaf gives her wand to Farmer, saying that she trusts him to keep the wand in good hands. Leaf falls asleep while Farmer is happy to be given such a good opportunity. Willow tells Farmer to take Begonia with him, while Begonia is excited. In the forest, Gargamel and Azrael look for the cause of this weather change, with Gargamel having a cold of his own. Just then, the two hide in the bushes while Vanity and Poet come by, cold and not wanting to be out and about at the moment. While they unknowingly pass by the two, Gargamel hears from Poet that Leaf is sick and sees this as an opportunity to take her wand. Gargamel jumps into the bushes and changes into a doctor, but Azrael is terrified of him and jumps on him until Gargamel tells the cat that it's just him in disguise. Gargamel takes Azrael and puts him into his first aid kit. Poet and Vanity continue walking until they come across the Dr. Gargamel, who introduces himself as a doctor named Marmaduke and informs them that he is able to help the two Smurfs with their problem. The two Smurfs blindly believe this and take him back to the village. None of the remedies that the Smurfs give Leaf work, such as Papa Smurf's stethoscope and Doc planning to use a saw, which Papa Smurf thankfully stops. Willow tries her hands at the situation and gives Leaf a nature leaf, which she eats, but causes her to sneeze, catapulting the three Smurfs out of the tent. Papa Smurf and Willow are now arguing about how they should handle this situation, but their arguing stops when they are introduced to Marmaduke the doctor, who explains that Poet and Vanity brought him here to help cure Leaf. Doc, however, is suspicious and jealous, judging Marmaduke until he reveals that he is a competent doctor. Papa Smurf silences Doc's complaints and greets Marmaduke into their tent. In the tent, Marmaduke observes Leaf's floppy arms and looks around for her magic wand. To no luck, Papa Smurf and Willow are now growing slightly suspicious. While they are conversing with each other, Gargamel tells Azrael to search for the wand in the village. Azrael runs out of the tent and into the village, where he hides behind Smurf houses and then Handy's grates. Azrael then comes across Begonia, who is on Farmer's tractor around with Farmer himself running to her. Azrael and the crates get hit, with Handy mad at Begonia for destroying the crates. Begonia apologizes and says they'll fix it for him. She gets off the tractor and then fights with Farmer over who can have Leaf's wand, turning Handy into a spider. The wand also hits Azrael, turning him into a bunny. Lazy comes by and sees that the two have Leaf's wand and wants his bed to be turned into an animal. However, the wand turns him into a lizard and the bed into a mushroom. though Lazy is content with this. However, Leaf's nearby sneeze knocks him into the village bell and makes the weather cold, Lazy shivering as a result. Vanity is also nearby, worried about his complexion being damaged from the weather. He asks Farmer and Begonia to turn him into any animal, but then is turned into a pumpkin. He hops away as Begonia laughs. Farmer takes the wand and scolds Begonia, but Begonia sees Rabbit Israel and hugs him, but then the rabbit screams at her and Farmer, causing them to fall and drop the wand. Rabbit Israel fights with Farmer, but the wand turns the rabbit back into Israel and Begonia notices. As Israel is about to eat Farmer, Begonia saves the day using Farmer's tractor. Saving Farmer, he attempts to blast Israel with the wand, with no luck. In the tent, Doc and Marmaduke continue fighting on how to cure Leaf until Doc accuses him of not being a real doctor. This triggers Gargamel into revealing his identity. The Smurfs are frightened until Farmer, Begonia, and Israel crash into the tent. While Gargamel is ecstatic to see Leaf's wand, Farmer turns Israel into a bear. The Israel bear, who is mad at Gargamel for stepping on him while trying to get the wand, chases him out of the village. The 5 Smurfs walk out of the tent, with Farmer telling them that he uses a special broth when the snails get sick, and if it works on the snails, it can work for Leaf. Later, Leaf is cured from her sickness by the broth while she thanks her curers. As an appreciation gift, she offers a boost in Farmer's pumpkins, which Farmer immediately detests and says he'll wait for nature to run its course. Elsewhere, the Israel bear is growling at Gargamel, who has taken cover in a tree. And that's how the episode goes. Leaf's under the weather sucks. And so does the cuddly toy. Dreamer, Master of Love is 89,543,944,869 times better than Leaf's Under the Weather. End of rant.